It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Joey McWilliams, who owns the Midwest Sports Network. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brandon. Thank you very much for having me today.
That's wonderful. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start your sports podcast and sports network?
I'll tell you what, it's been fun to think about. When I started stuff, it really was it was back in 2011, and my brother and I had started a sports site, and it was a sports blog, I guess. Then I'd gone back to school to get a second degree at Oklahoma State University, get my sports media degree, and do a little bit more with broadcasting. He has a web design company. He got me set up with what was called then oklahomasportsblog.com, and we've changed it to oklahomasports.net over the years. And then it just kind of branched out to different states, and I enjoy small college sports, Division II, NAIA, do some Division III too. There aren't any Division III schools in Oklahoma, but there are in some of the other states I cover. And so it just kind of went out to Arkansas and Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, and then just kind of I looked at the map and went, this is the Midwest. We need Midwest Sports Net. And that's where the YouTube channel came from, Midwest Sports Net, and I enjoy it. It's branched out since then, by the way. There are lots more states, but I enjoy talking about sports in the Midwest sports area.
How did you know that you wanted to start your own network?
You know what? I think that there comes a time where you just look around and go, I can do this. I can do this. I've been broadcasting sports on the radio, covering sports in the newspaper and other areas, and some television too, since about 2000. I'd coached high school basketball for a few years, and when that time was done, I got into broadcasting a little bit more. I praise God for the opportunities that I've had to get to do this. And as I got that degree in sports media, I'm still broadcasting. YouTube offers some great opportunities, like the channel you have. I enjoy watching you and some other folks, and I just thought, you know what, I can do this too. I think I'd like to have my own channel, and so it's grown and developed into kind of what it is right now, and hopefully it'll grow further.
Well, thank you for watching me.
I do. I enjoy it. You have some great guests.
What are some of the coaches that you've had on your podcast?
You know, I've had and I was looking just even a little bit earlier at some of the coaches have been on there. Lots of Division II folks and NAIA coaches. Had a chance to visit recently with an assistant coach from USAO, the Oklahoma Science and Arts University. I don't get assistants very often because the head coach usually is the person that gets to talk. But he had led his team through the basketball tournament championship in the Sooner Athletic Conference. So I got to visit with the assistant coach and Josh Roach, but I visited with his head coach, Chris Francis. And recently I got to visit, again, Casey Bassett and talking with her and her teams run through the Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference, and Myers Hendrickson coaching football up at Kansas Wesleyan, and Tony Hobson, Division II, Fort Hays State, and Trent May, Southern Nazarene University. Getting to visit with some of the other coaches. I was trying to think about all of them. There's so many of them now that it becomes a blur, and I'd have to scroll down through all of the YouTube channel. But I like the coaches. I like the athletes too. And just the small college take stands out to me, I think, most of all.
How did you know that, for example, you wanted to interview small college coaches versus your D1 coaches?
Well, that's a really good question. And from where I am and based in Oklahoma, you have Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and those are your big D1 schools. And Tulsa is a D1 school, and some folks don't know Oral Roberts University is a D1 school. So we actually have 4 here in the state, and they get so much coverage. I mean, everybody covers Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, but there's so much other good there's so many other good sports in Oklahoma, so many good Division II schools, so many good NAI schools. And really, and honestly, Brandon, when the state got the Oklahoma City Thunder, when we finally got an NBA team, there was a lot of coverage, in the metro area that went to the Thunder. And I'm glad it did, because I'm glad we have that, that professional team here, which we hadn't had one like that before. Not of the, the big four. But that meant that the coverage they were giving to smaller schools went away. And it opened up a door for me to say, hey, listen, I'll talk about you. You guys are doing fantastic work, lots of good folks, many incredible athletes. And so it just opened up a door.
When it comes to, of course, big schools, and you said the NBA came, have you branched out to big schools like that? Or do you think that the small schools like KC is your niche?
Well, I definitely think the smaller colleges, that's my niche, definitely, for sure. Now, that doesn't mean being an OSU alum, hey, go Pokes. But being an OSU alum, I definitely will talk about Oklahoma State when I can. And I would talk about Oklahoma, and I enjoy visiting about Tulsa and Oral Roberts, but I prefer getting to talk about the small colleges. And again, just because there's so many great folks here that there's not enough coverage, I think, to go around.
Can you talk about, of course, your segment on your podcast, The Summit, and what that is?
That is, I thoroughly enjoy the Summit, and it's a lot like what we're doing right now in getting to do some one-on-one. I've had some live streams where we get, sometimes 3 and 4 people, and those are coming back, and I'd like to do more of those. But the one-on-one time, just being there, and of course the Summit, you're talking about the top of the mountain. I like to visit with folks who maybe right now are at the top of the mountain, get to visit with someone whose team's on a 15-game winning streak, or, whose team just won a conference tournament championship or something like that. Man, they're up there at the Summit. Let me come up there with you, and let's just talk for a little bit about the cool things that are going on. So that's kind of my one-on-one time.
Of course, whenever you get the coaches on, can you talk about, of course, the process that you have to go through?
Well, I know it's something that it's just like, what you do a lot is you have to prepare. I mean, you need to go in knowing what you're talking about. You need to go in, you need to know who it is you're going to get a chance to visit with, know a little bit about him, know a little bit about her, whether it be a coach, an athlete, somebody else in the college's athletic department, and know about what's going on. And of course, we do live in a cool time that this information, lots of it is there for you on the internet. So, it's not like you have to make too many phone calls. Lots of times you can find the information there on the internet and study, but you do need to do the work in advance. I mean, you don't want to go in halfway. And, I like I said, I've seen your videos, man. You know what you're going to talk about, you know what you're going to ask them, and that's good. And it's important for them to know that you care. I mean, that's a big deal too.
When you go about getting the college coaches, most of the time, do you just go through the college coaches like me, or do you go through their SIDs?
Lots of times I go through the SIDs. I know some of the coaches personally from covering them over the years. When I started broadcasting, I started covering college basketball and then football and then more at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, obviously in Oklahoma, which is a D2 school. And in that time, I got to know sports information directors and college coaches in the Lone Star Conference, because Southeastern was then in the Lone Star Conference. Now it's in the Great American Conference. And I got to meet a lot of the folks there, and the SIDs who do fantastic work. I mean, shout out to all the SIDs out there. You guys rock. I shout out to one in particular, Doug Self. If he ever hears this, friend of mine from Southwestern, I always have to give a shout out to Doug Self. So that's just one of those things. But they do a lot of great work, and most often I'll go through the SID. Now, some of the coaches I know personally, I have their phone numbers. We've visited over the years, and so I might just shoot them a text. But for the most part, I'll go through the SIDs. I think that's the best way.
How has your sports broadcasting helped you with your podcast?
Oh, it's helped a lot. Going back to school, I mean, I think that we all have gifts and talents that God gives us, and so I'm thankful that I can talk. I think I wave my arms around maybe too much when I'm talking, but I can talk and share, and I have a love for sports. But getting some training helped a lot going back to school and getting some training there at Oklahoma State. And just having the chance then to be out in the field and cover these games, football, basketball. There are so many different sports that I've had a chance to cover in the last 20 years. I talk about football and basketball. Usually those are the ones that people think are, hey, these are the ones. If I want to do something, I want to do these sports. I don't know. I've come to love volleyball. Oh my goodness. Broadcasting volleyball is a blast. I love softball and baseball, and I've covered track and broadcast wrestling and a number of other sports there too. It helps to be able to have been out there and, just kind of be on the field with them sometimes. So yeah, I think that's helped a lot.
What is some of your future plans with Midwest Sports Network?
I hope that we'll be able to do some more live broadcasts. I enjoy the live broadcast. It does bring traffic to the site too. That's always a big deal. But I'd like to do a few more live sporting events. High school, we've done a few high school ones. I haven't done much on the college level because, different schools farm out the rights, and I don't want to step on anybody's rights, broadcast rights. But I'd like to do some more of that as this channel grows, and some more live streams and getting to talk with folks just more on a weeknight, and obviously a lot more of the summit and get to visit with people like you one-on-one about that. But I see this channel and Midwest Sportsnet growing and growing. And I don't see a cap to it just yet.
With you saying that you're doing a lot of live events, can you talk about, of course, how you came up with the process of doing live events? As for me, I know that my podcast is filmed, recorded, so I'm not live right now. I'm filmed, recorded, and then if I mess up, I can always go back.
I enjoy that too. By the way, I will tell lots of the interviews that we do, especially for the summit. Now, for the summit, I try to record almost all of those. Some of the live streams, obviously, they are what they are. But I'll always tell the coach or the athlete, listen, if the wheels come off, we can edit this thing in post. All right, and then so don't worry about it. But I like live. Sometimes. I think most of the time I may be better live. I don't know if it's just the adrenaline or the thought in the back of my head somewhere that you just cannot mess this up. You're live now, so you can't let anything go wrong. But I have 5 kids, and 3 of them still live in the house with me. And so I have some built-in cameramen that come on and I do put them to work, and I pay them too, just so you know. But I put them to work doing that. And it's just fun. It was one of those things because when I started broadcasting, I was on the radio and I was broadcasting high school basketball, the first games. And I was, trying not to be nervous doing that. But the more you learn about it, the more you look and you say, oh man, I can do this. I think I can do this. And I just need to get some equipment and just be, need to be able to have a good internet signal. That's very important. You got to have a good internet signal to be able to stream this out. But man, I think I can do this. This looks like fun, and I'll get my family involved too. And so, yeah, that's kind of the direction I was heading with the live events. And I'd love to do more. Again, it's the same thing, Brandon. There are so many things out there that aren't getting the coverage that they probably should be getting. And since we live here now in the 21st century and we have it to be able to do, why not? Why not give some more things some coverage?
With your podcast, do you have a producer or you self-produce?
I self-produce. I all those behind the scenes calls and emails and everything else. Yeah. And I've set up the camera and the lights, and this is a different set. I'm working on another set that is in another part of the property here at Emerald Quest headquarters in Oklahoma. But all the phone calls, all the emails, all of the time in getting together and saying, hey, can you come on with me? Would you visit with me about this? Yeah. And I know about that process. So yes, this is self-produced right now, maybe someday, but we're not that big yet.
What advice would you give upcoming people looking to get started?
Don't get discouraged when it's small. If you're going to do a channel like Brandon, like your channel, like Midwest Sportsnet, like the channel I'm doing, if you're going to be on YouTube or whatever the case may be, don't ever be discouraged and get despair if it's small, even if it's small for a long time. I know my channel doesn't have 1 million subscribers yet. Your channel doesn't have 1 million subscribers yet. Maybe we both will sometime soon. That'd be cool. But in the meantime, there's a lot to be done, and you get the chance, with everyone that you visit with, you get a chance to bless them. You get a chance to do something good for them and be a part of their life and promote the cool things that they're doing right now. And so you don't ever want to take that lightly. And you might look around sometimes and go, man, what are we doing? But you just keep on going, and it'll happen someday, I think. And so you just keep pushing. That would be my advice. Don't despise the small beginnings.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find Midwest Sports Network at on social media and YouTube or podcast platforms?
Oh, you can find, hey, please do subscribe. I'll put that out there for you. Midwest Sportsnet, search that up. And I have, of course, I don't have the logo with me right now. I should be dropping that logo on there. But the logo, if you search on YouTube, Midwest Sportsnet, and look for the logo, it's got an MW. I think maybe that's for McWilliams. I don't know. Anyway, Midwest, it's an MW with a ring around it, a blue field in the background. That is Midwest Sportsnet. Please subscribe. You can also find us on Twitter. Just search for Midwest Sportsnet on Twitter, on Facebook. We are there as well. But I encourage you to stop by the YouTube channel.
Thank you again, Joey, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with Midwest Sports Network.
Thank you, Brandon, so much for having me on the show. It's a privilege to get to be on Brandon Sports Talk.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Joey, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.